Kiss. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Cheryl Yeager. I'm the founder and artistic director of Odyssey Dance Theater, and we are here with Odyssey Unscripted, which is our podcast, and I think we're very excited today to feature someone I know very well. At least I think I know very well. Cheryl Yeager, who is my life partner and also our costume mistress for many, many years. I mean, we met when we were in Valley West many, many years ago. I think we both have a different version of the story of how we first met. But I've always said that I went up to her and asked her to go out with me, and she said no. And I said, because I asked her if I wanted to go. That's true.
Yes.
That's true. So it was because I asked her to go see The Exorcist. So I said, come to see The Exorcist. It was a movie, it was just, I wasn't thinking. And then I sulked off in the corner and I thought, wait a minute. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's the movie. So I kind of sauntered back over there. So, well, you want to
you sure you don't want to go to the movie with me?
Sure you don't want to go to the movie? And you said no again, right?
I said no.
Okay. And I said, well,
and this is like during rehearsal. So, the first of the day in rehearsal, and then the middle of the day, and then at the end, he said,
I said, well, you want to go out for dinner,
And I said, sure, that's fine.
She says, okay, I'll do that. And I was like, okay, I'm not a dweeb. She turned me down twice.
So that should have given me a clue about our future. The horror movie. And then our big thing we're famous for is Thriller, the horror movie.
Yes, that's very, very
is
true.
Partly my idea. So,
but we went out on that date, and I believe it was the Paprika restaurant. Is that what it was?
Yes.
It was like a German steakhouse, and we went there, and we just sat and talked and talked and talked. And I just knew right then and there I was going to marry her. And I had been dating this other girl.
Oh, this is a good story.
Yeah.
Tell this one.
Yeah,
so I didn't know about this.
I was dating another girl at the time, and after that date, I called her up and I said, I found the girl I'm going to marry, so I'm going to goodbye. It was super cold. But I knew. And how long did it take you to figure out that you were going to say yes to marry me?
Well, we'd been dating like a month.
Yeah.
And we started talking about this is real love, and we started talking about getting married. So, and we never had like any of the stuff that you guys did. We just said, well, here we are in the company. And what's funny was Tom Root and Mary Bird came to the restaurant that night and saw us there.
Yeah, he was
together.
The principal dancer in the company.
And so we came in the next day, and everybody knew we had a
date. We had a date. So our first
immediately, because they were really big about that.
Yes. Yeah, they didn't want us to get married. They told us not to get married at Valley West.
The company manager and
they said
they brought us in for a meeting and said, we don't want you to get married. And we're like, what? You can't tell us that we can't get married. And like, well, we've got people that are requesting the two of you when you do a solo, Potidus, and we want to see them. And so you're an up and coming. You're bringing in ticket sales, and so we just don't want you to get married.
Well, because typically when partners become involved with each other, they typically have lots of fights. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you guys had lots of fights yet? Not really? Okay, this is good.
That's a good
sign.
This is good.
This is a good sign. It's a good sign you can still work together and be involved.
In the studio, there were holes in the walls, one from fisting up a little higher above the bar, and there were kicks in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Those Texas boys got really
we got kind of rough. Because there were
all three of Mark Lanham and Daryl and Joe Clark were all from the same studio in Texas, in Amarillo. So,
So
yeah.
yeah,
They
we were every time after class we'd be working on, we call it woodshedding. We'd like work on our double tours, and work on the things that we wanted that we weren't so good at. You know what I mean? And when we still sucked at it, we punched the hole in the wall, stuff like that.
Or when you were fighting with somebody.
Or when you were fighting with your partner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, they told us we had our first date on the Ides of March.
Yeah.
We were engaged on the 22nd of April.
April, a month later.
And then married on the 26th of July.
Yeah.
So it was like, whew. It was wham bam. But for me, when you know, you know. So why wait? We have some people in our family that have said that were together for like years before they ever got married, and they said, "Why did we wait? Why did we wait?"
Missed
if
opportunities.
If you know, right? So she said yes, and we got married, and we still danced together. And things were great in the company there for a couple of years. We danced together for a couple of years.
Yeah.
We
had one time where Daryl's really fast. So he sees it, he does it. He's got it. Or he can hear it and he's got it. I'm not good with either one. Visually, I'm better. I'm a visual person. So
she would be a little slower.
Slow at picking up things, and I don't reverse things well. So Mr. C would ask me to demonstrate all the time in class. But he would only show in the front, and I'd do fine in the front, but when I had to reverse it, I'd mess it up. And he'd get frustrated with me, and I'm like, don't ask me.
So I would get frustrated from time to time, but we never really had any
He
big
got frustrated one time, and he
she
said,
remembers one time.
we got together, and we said, he said something really sweet. He said, "You're the most important person in my life, and I should treat you better than anybody." And after that, he always was patient with me.
Well, because I think sometimes when you have a relationship, you tend to look at the other person as a reflection of yourself. So anything, if she's slower, then it's reflecting on me, right? And it's a very selfish attitude, I think. And so, but it's really hard to get out of that. You know what I mean? So I had to really, slap myself a few times and say, no, don't go there. That's not fair.
Yeah.
And so,
but he forgets it. I work so hard to get it that I still could do serenade and, I'm like, sorry. And, it's still in my head. I could still do all that, a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So, plus you do it 4,000 times.
So when did you start dancing?
I was 7.
7 years old.
And my mom got me private. My sister was doing ballet, and my mom got me private lessons with this lady in her basement. And I ended up babysitting her kids the whole time. I'm like, Mom, this is not ballet. And so the next year I was 8, and that's when they accepted, and I started with Benet Arnold.
Benet Arnold, yeah.
She had her own studio, and it was all classical ballet, and I loved it.
Benet Arnold was the ballet mistress for Ballet West for years underneath William Christensen.
Yeah, almost from the very beginning. She was a soloist with the San Francisco Ballet, and then came out, and she was really good with the kids. We had fun. It was really hard though. Like she was very strict, and she had a studio where the curtains would close and the parents weren't allowed to watch. And I know she would be peeking. I said, I didn't think about that, but I knew how hard my parents sacrificed so that I could have those lessons. And so I'm like, I'm going to take advantage of this. So we'd be doing, and this is 8-year-olds, we would do 16 count grand pliés, 16, we build up to this, but, it was still like more difficult than just little kid stuff.
How could you do a 16 count grand plié?
And
I'd never get back up.
after a couple of years, you'd be doing 16 ronde-jambs on there, and
It was real old school.
old school,
Yeah.
very strict. Couldn't get a drink of water. Water
You
was
see the movie The Red Shoes? There's a couple of sequences there of class, and it's kind of like that
Yeah.
in terms of like, I mean, you go run a jump, you do 16 of those puppies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it was
then back. And
then
your
reverse
leg,
it.
your leg
you know.
is still
But if you
out
watch
there.
if you watch the classes in The Red Shoes, you'll see kind of the old school ballet stuff, and it was tough. It was hard. You know.
We did. I feel like we did a cross. We did Chickadee, and we did. I'm saying some Russian, but the Mr. C.
Vaganova method, yeah.
Vaganova, but Mr. C's came from Danish,
Yes.
and so we did some Bournonville after
Yeah.
we came when Bruce Marks came and did Ballet West. They had Bournonville soloists and principals come and teach us the real Bournonville style. Very unusual and different and fun. Like you're jumping at the bar and moving away from the bar.
You would do Tandu Grambama. Tandu Grambama. That's how you started the class.
And they jump like and
jump
beats
like crazy.
crazy.
And I was lucky enough to have Toni Lander from American Ballet Theater, who was Bruce Marks' wife at the time. She taught me the Flower Festival Pas de Deux, which was the Bournonville piece, and it was so challenging. It was great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But Benet Arnold is the one who originated that idea of putting the dollar in between your thighs
Yeah.
to do bourrées,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So
Put that
I
in
snuck that onto my dancers just recently.
But they're like sticking it. But they got shorts on and stuff. It's different than tights, in your leg.
There were some cheaters, yes.
Yeah.
There were some cheaters, you know. But
and
it was,
we go across the room. But she also did like pantomime, which is an unusual thing. And I always did that with my little kids. In January, we'd do a pantomime, and it helps them be more expressive and not be afraid of using your emotions and face and things. And
so you
would do that
started
with
at 8.
I really started at 8.
Yes. and then when did you, how old were you when Ballet West started looking at you?
Well, when I was 11, Benet became full time. She couldn't teach anymore. It was too much for the company, and so we started going in the summer to the University of Utah. It was Mr. C's program for the summer, and so we started doing that with Madeline Gavers.
Yep.
And we always did the can. So
Madeline Gavers, as a teacher, she would smoke throughout the entire class.
one in each hand.
One in each hand.
And then the pianist on the piano would have hers going.
Yeah, so
It was
everybody,
like-
they'd be all smoking. And she's kind of like, okay,
And
32 Ronajams, all right.
Yeah.
You know, she was,
And
but
there's
I mean,
no
she
smoking
was,
signs everywhere.
but she was old school, you know,
Yeah.
she was old school. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm amazed we didn't all get lung cancer from them smoking so much during class, you know.
Yeah. And then so
So you
we
were
did
11. You were 11
we were
years
11. So when I was 12, I went to the program with the University of Utah.
old. Okay.
And that
And
was
back then, the University of Utah was the actual official school for Ballet West.
right.
They didn't have their own school at that time.
So it was now 3 times a week, and we were doing point. I'd been doing point with Benet, so we were doing point class, and then we did Saturdays with Mr. C, and they also started doing pas de deux classes with the company members,
Oh, cool.
the males, and so we got to do that on Saturday, and it was kind of an invitation for that. Then they started a program called the Junior Ballet for Ballet West, and it was an invited program, and I got invited, and so we had to wear our hair in classical bun in the back, parted in the middle, just like you'd see in Swan Lake. The long sleeve leotard, ballet shoes with ribbons, and and then we also did point on that too. And so we had guests from, and Carolyn Anderson, Logie Barnett
Oh, yes.
was the teacher that changed my life.
Really?
Like, Benet didn't stretch us. She was so limber. I feel like she didn't need to, she wasn't thinking about that. So my arabesque was down here. And after Carolyn, for a few months, I was up here. And she had so many wonderful things she taught us.
Yeah.
And, but we mostly had her. And that was changed my life.
At this age, though, there's a story that you've told often about when you were back here you are becoming, a ballerina.
Yeah.
But at your high school, you had kids.
Oh, junior high. Yeah.
Junior high. They had a dance club.
Yeah. So I decided to do the dance club. It's 9th grade, and it was still in the junior high.
So tell me,
So,
tell
okay.
that story, because I love this story. Well, I don't love it, but I think it's
Okay.
amazing.
So they were doing their little dances, and it was our gym teacher. She was a tennis player, a state champion tennis player, but she ran the
Dance program.
dance program for the. Anyway.
Obviously, well-rounded.
And I was doing the drama classes and everything. I was doing well in that. I really did well in comedy. Okay, so this was the spring program. We did a fall thing. You learn the dances. The girls come up with dances they do, and the teacher assigns you to these groups. And we were in several different programs during the year. And then in the spring, there was a talent show, and then there was where I individually submitted myself for a solo on point and everything. And then we also had the spring program with all the dances, and they were going to do another new dance. So they said, Mrs. Stevens, can we pick our own people this time? She said, yes, as long as everyone's picked. So they're like, oh, we want so-and-so, and we want so-and-so. And so I'm standing there, and it feels like an eternity when you're the last one standing there. And one of the girls said, Mrs. Stevens, no one's picked Cheryl. And, it's like, and in the school newspaper, they put, oh, Cheryl's in the Nutcracker, and so-and-so is in the Nutcracker. And with Ballet West, and I did it all from 9 on, I was in the Nutcracker. All the children's roles and all, working up. So I'm standing there, and so somebody finally goes, well, she could come with us, Anyway, so then the story continues. So I did their little dance. And I could dance rings around anybody. In fact, Mrs. Stevens sent a letter home to my parents, because when we did gymnastics, you get on the balance beam, you're doing arabesque and penché and all that stuff, and you got that. But there's no leadership there. There's no one that's trained in this and watching over you that you don't get hurt. So we're like, she said, we're going to fail her if she doesn't join the gymnastics team. And my parents said, she's a dancer. She doesn't want to do that. We don't want her hurt. We're not going to do that. And so it took a while to convince her. So then when she saw me do my solo in the talent show, she's like, oh, and maybe it started making sense. So that I wasn't just doing ballet, it was the real deal. And so anyway, I didn't win the talent show. It was a modern dancer one, but she was really good too. But
still, I mean, that just kills me to think little Cheryl just sitting there last when she's the best dancer in the entire room.
Well, it's because I wasn't popular.
Well, but still.
And so, and I knew that, but it still hurts, So then after the talent show, my teacher sat there and she did 2 talks about me. One in our gym class, but then when we got to the dance club meeting, she said, okay, now there's Cheryl. She talked for 15 minutes about how talented I was, and how much she respected how I acted when that happened and no one picked me. And I could dance rings around everyone, and she even said something to the effect of, well, you could have said something, but you did their little dances that were okay, but it could have been something different. And then I remember when I was in the company, and then at my senior year, I was an apprentice, so I did all the chorus with them, and started learning everything. And then we did 60 lecture demos.
60.
I did a tour.
60.
Every
60
high school.
lecture demos. We go to Tooele, we do Tintic High. I mean, the whole company would go and do these lecture demos all over the state.
Yeah, they don't do that now, but
Yeah,
we did those. We did.
It was also like at 8 o'clock in the morning,
We did.
And we do like 3 a day. We do one at this school, go to the next school, go to the next school. I mean,
and there weren't marley floors either. It's slippery and it's challenging on point, especially. But
we would spread Ajax on the floor,
we tried
Coca-Cola, spray Coca-Cola, trying to get it like sticky enough to dance on. And then we had one dance that we did for those lecture demos where we're rolling around on the floor a lot. And we come up, we literally had Ajax all over our costumes.
Yeah, it was an experience.
It was an experience, but you joined the company.
I joined the company. So I got the William F. Christensen Scholarship.
Uh-huh.
And they required you to have a 3.85, and they called me in and they said, we want you to dance in the company. We've had no one be able to pull off doing both. The university at that level of training and your grades.
Yeah.
And be gone. So we did 6 weeks in Aspen with every week we did different full-length ballets there. Then in the fall we did 5-week tour, 64 Nutcrackers. Spring, we did a 5 to 6 week tour. That was the hard one. And I think, was that your first one? No. You weren't there that year. So, and then came around and got ready for Aspen again. We had 1 month off for the year. That's a lot of performances. So you get really used to dancing together and keeping your lines perfect this way and this way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say Odyssey is not ballet lines, but it's
close.
And our company was known for performance, for theater.
Yeah.
And that was where Mr. C came from, with the vaudeville. He was in vaudeville. So when Daryl came and he said, I want to do Drosselmeyer. And they said, what? He's this young kid, wants to do Drosselmeyer. He said, I'm an actor. I want to do the character parts. And he did the cutest Drosselmeyer. And I was the doll. And so he would go, don't touch her. She's mine. Don't touch her. as he's rolling me out there. It was really fun. And anyway.
I've got a video of her doing the doll that you could have.
And
she was amazing. And she was chosen out of all the dancers in the company when we actually filmed William Christensen, the Nutcracker.
They did a PBS film.
The PBS film of the Nutcracker. She was chosen to be the doll.
The doll and the Merliton
and the
solo.
Merliton solo.
And you guys have seen that one, but
yeah.
But that was my second year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was the third year because you were doing Arabian.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If that video I have for you also has me doing the Arabian.
So we weren't even up to solo level. I was a demi soloist. He was a core.
Core. Yeah.
Yeah. And
core dancer.
Anyway.
But she was really good. And so I figured I'll latch on to her, We'll be going places. And we actually did the best flower pas de deux in the Nutcracker.
Yeah, no one's been able to duplicate
do what we did. She used to do a double pirouette, plie, double turn in second before I caught her and ended up in a penché.
Yeah. But then it was the end. So it ends.
And at the end,
we
I would
changed.
take her into
We had to change the music with the conductor too.
yeah. I would take her up into a lift, and then I would flip her into a fish. Yeah. Did we do 2 rotations or just 1?
I think we did 1. It might have been 2. I felt like a lot, but or 1.5. It was actually 1.5.
I think it was 1.5.
I don't know. Anyway, it was fun.
But we got dun 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 dun.
And they would hold
That's how we
music,
ended.
and we ended there.
Yeah.
When before they ended up at the top
Yeah. Everybody else just did the lift, and that
for
was
the
it.
end.
But we flipped it.
And so we were
made it
doing
down.
that in rehearsal. Daryl's like, just do it, just do it. And I'd had this experience before this, where I walked in the rehearsal room and they had put me on the list to learn a new solo role. And one of the dancers said, "Why are you here?" Well, my name's on the board to learn this part. Well, you haven't earned enough right to be here with us. She was a principal. They weren't all like that, but that's ballet, though. You know, it's so
cutthroat.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But she was my best partner. I loved her. Loved dancing with her, and
we had a lot of fun.
we got in trouble a lot because we'd be sitting in the corner doing crossword puzzles or something together, and
Right. So, and Daryl, he's tough. So so we're over there, and we're learning Carmina Burana. This is that week where we started dating, right? Because we started working on we were understudying a couple, and so we were learning their whole part.
Yeah.
And so I was doing like a word search or something with Daryl, and Benet looks over and goes, "Do you know this? Have you learned this?" And Daryl's like, "Yeah, I know it." So that was the first part of it. So the day before the performance, where we're doing Carmina Burana.
Yeah. And it was a full evening show. Or was it like a 50-minute? No.
Yeah. No, we did Pas de Dix first.
Yes. So,
Pas de Dix.
so it was the second.
I
It
was
was the
doing
end,
Pas de
it was the
Dix.
closing piece of the program. But it was a big 50-minute piece.
And the chorus, all solo work and extremely difficult lifts.
Right.
John Butler, modern.
Yes. It was amazing. And so the guy that I was understudying, he hurts his back. And so, but I'm just kind of a lowly core guy. And I thought immediately, well, okay, I'm in. You know what I mean? Here I go. But they pulled Frank over here. Frank, who didn't even know that particular part, he had little seniority to me, and brought him over and started teaching him. I said, wait a minute. I know this. Why are you doing this?
Well, I think you just said, Benet, I think you've made a mistake.
Oh,
There was silence. You could have heard a pin drop.
yes.
Okay, come in my office. Off he went. Okay, I'll never see him again. Because we have all of us in that room have watched many people leave and never
Yes,
come back.
and never come back.
Or say, I'm out of here. Because she was tough. And
So I went in the office, and they said, do you know this? I said, yes, I know this. Okay, we're going to go back in there. We're going to run the entire piece, and you're going to do everything full out. The rest of the company is going to mark.
they're not going to do lifts.
They're not going to do lifts, not going to do any of that stuff. So we went back in. We did the whole 50-minute piece.
She explained it to everybody, and they're like, well, we had been standing there. No one said a word. No one. In our places. We're all like, and then I said, what did
I was
you
like,
say to her? I said,
just-
what did you say to her later? And I said, look, this doesn't make sense. I know the part. You don't have time to teach him. He's a really weak partner. You've got the hardest girl to lift.
Yep.
And I can do this. I'm strong and, anyway. So it really made sense what he was doing. So when he
But
came back in.
everybody thought I was a goner.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
So, but we went through the entire piece, and I did everything, did every lift, did all the choreography. And after it was all over, Benet says, okay, you can do it.
And the guy that was supposed to learn it was relieved.
He was really.
And I had
Thank
experience
you.
with him a little later, and wherever he had his thumbs, my whole skin had been ripped off, and it was bleeding when I took my leotard off. And his girlfriend said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to go talk to him." And I'm like,
He was a bad partner.
he
was bad.
just wasn't good, and he wasn't strong. And
A bad partner is one who lifts and then drops the girl and doesn't make sure she gets to the floor.
well, and he wasn't
what I mean?
using this part of his hand.
Yeah, he was using his thumbs.
Thumbs.
That was bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was kind of my introduction to fun with Benet.
And that's when I knew, okay, this guy's cool. Because, I'm the person that just doesn't say anything, and I just suck it up, and he's going to fight for us too, and he did. And so when we went in and we were doing that in the background with a big lift at the end, and they're like, ooh. So
and everybody else tried to do what we were doing.
yeah, they couldn't do it.
Nah.
So they called us in and said, "We want end of rehearsal. Let's see you do it again. We want to see this and take a look at us." And they said, "Okay, we're going to start rehearsing you with the choir."
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was fun.
The worst performance we had though was we were at Kingsbury Hall at the time. This is before they had redone it, and to cross over, you had to go down the stairs, through the hallway, back up the stairs on the other side to cross over. They actually built a thing in the back. There's a loading dock there, and they built a box to put Clara in.
To bump out.
It was
for
a
the
bump
little
out.
throne for
So
the
when it's
Clara and the
snowing, she's
Prince.
back there, and she's like
It's
freezing.
They had a little heater.
So one night we were walking to the theater. We were walking through the parking lot there, and she slips and twists her ankle
On the ice.
on the ice.
We're doing opening night, the leads.
and so
That was it. That was done.
it was the ankle she turned on. So we were doing that double turn in second, and so we got to that point. Everything was going fairly well up to that point.
Well, it was about a week later.
Yeah, but she goes to do the double pirouette and plie to do the double turn in second, and the leg just gives out on her. So she lands on her butt, facing the audience with a tutu like this.
Yeah, it was bad.
She was just going, whoa, and I, and I'm looking at her, and I just walked over and went, here we go. Let's go. And I
pulled
offered
me
my
up.
hand and pulled her up. We walked off and did the rest of the thing. We went into the wings, and she's like, oh, she's crying. And she's
I'm
like,
crying.
oh my gosh, it's okay. It's okay. We can do it. Get through the rest of it. But it was
So
just,
finale, we came out and I said, okay, I'm going to do 4 pirouettes instead of 2. And then at least have some redemption.
yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever got over that, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it
a
was
rough
hard.
one.
That
was
was
a rough
hard.
one.
but
But we've all had on stage goofs that happens every now and then.
yeah. But
So
they
we-
don't laugh about it. We laugh about it.
Yes. But we got married, and we danced for 2 years. We both became soloists in the company.
No, you were principal.
I wasn't yet.
Oh,
When
okay.
when you got pregnant and we had our first.
Weren't you the principal then?
No,
you were
I was still
principal.
a soloist. No.
I thought you were principal when they made me
No,
a
not
soloist.
yet. I was making $200 a month. $200 a month.
And that's not our take-home pay either.
And that's not the take home. That's the gross, right? So we get to that point, and then so we have to decide. Okay, it's time for us to start a family, but we're going to lose half of our income. You know what I mean?
And they
Not
were
only that, a significant half.
well. And
Now it was only $200 a month from me.
Bruce Marks said, the thing that was really important for me. If you ever seen the movie The Turning Point, if you've never seen it, watch it. It's absolutely
Spot on. isn't it?
spot on about ballet. And of course, you see Baryshnikov in his prime,
Yeah.
and the moments of, do I keep doing my career, which I could have. And Tony had 3 boys, had 3 different pregnancies, and came back and was prima ballerina assoluta, knighted by the king. Amazing ballerina, the highest you can get. And she had 3 kids, and they're like, "You can do this," And I just felt like I didn't want to do that. So I didn't come back.
We came back for a couple of things.
After I had 2 kids, we did some things.
We did some things
We
together.
did a gala.
And we also did Punch and Judy together.
We did Punch and Judy. One of Daryl's
the opera.
pieces.
We did the opera
We did
together.
the opera.
And Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma,
We did
42
Oklahoma,
shows.
On
point.
Yes.
The ballet. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And Daryl says, "Oh, yeah, my wife, she's dancing again." I'd taken 1 class in 5 years. And what's cool is you lose some of that extra muscle, and like 5th position is so nice. And I was thinner and weighed less. But first rehearsal, we're doing lifts, and Daryl lifts me up, and we hear this, and I'm like, "Daryl, put me down." And I had cracked a rib in the back. I wasn't in shape to handle the lift. So I did the whole thing with that cracked rib, 42 shows. We changed the lift a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I was so dumb. I'm like, "Oh, I'll bring the kids to dress rehearsal." So Aaron is 4, 3.5. And Amanda's a baby. And my parents were watching the kids. And in the Dream Laurie Ballet, gets shot. Dad gets shot. And Mom gets carried off. It's wild, violent. And my son's going, "Mommy, at the audience." It's dress rehearsal, but still, I'm like, what am I thinking? What have I done to my children? I'm not, and even if you explain it, they're not going to understand at that age. What's happening to Mommy, it's pretend, it's not real.
You have to realize she was on the cusp of becoming a principal dancer. I mean, I was made a principal dancer shortly after that, but she was on the cusp of becoming a principal dancer in the company. Yeah. And so she made the decision then that the family was the most important thing. And it still kind of broke my heart because she was so good, But at the same time, now here we are 51 years later. It's been okay. It turned out all right.
I watched a lot of children.
Yes.
Took in kids and.
But what happened is they needed help in the costume room when she got pregnant, and so she started going.
I said, "Listen, they're building Don Quixote."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm just 7th grade home ec sewing, and I always sewed things, and I had learned to make Raggedy Ann dolls, and I perfected that, but." They said, "Well, we need sewers." I said, "As long as you show me what to do and tell me what to do, I can do anything. I'm used to old machines. I was the only one that could work the old Singer, so I made a lot of armor and cool stuff for the."
Yeah.
Anyway, so they hired me, and I was getting big, so I got through Nutcracker, and then.
Yeah, they had to keep adding panels to it.
The Merliton costume had a little panel in it.
But we actually did the flower pas de deux when she was 5 months pregnant.
Yeah. Almost 5 months.
And I still did this lift.
Only with him, though. Not with the other guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how she got involved in doing costumes and stuff. And sometimes those costumes were just so poorly made, not by her, but by other seamstresses. I remember one girl, she had a tutu, and it split right in the crotch.
In the crotch, and it was like, we're like, it's rising up. What is going on?
The tutus kept rising up. We're like,
and
what
we
the heck?
had to stitch every seam double stitched.
So she came off stage and propped her leg up, and the seamstresses were there.
Every time she went off stage. Of course, she's crying, trying to get through it. I mean, and luckily she had one of those elastic dance belts, girdles underneath. so she wasn't open,
Totally exposed.
but it's traumatic,
just-
something like that. And she got through it, bless her heart.
I just
but-
remember her with her leg hiked up in the wings, and you guys just
and
sewing
they
her
had
crotch together.
a new costumer the next day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, you don't. But I learned so much doing that.
Yeah.
And then when we went, Daryl taught at BYU, he was over the ballet theater department.
Uh-huh.
And they said, oh, we need another one of these costumes. And I'm like, oh, I'm praying I get it right. And we had to dye it. And they said, would you like to be the costumer ahead of, I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. Especially after been with Ballet West, I like, no, this is a big deal. So then when Daryl said, well, we don't have any money, we're starting the company. Well, and Daryl even said, I think we need another year. We're not ready for this. But here we are. So I'm pregnant with Elizabeth. We had 3 other women dancers who had little babies. So I watched all of them while they're rehearsing and taking class so that they could do this. Because we couldn't pay them. They even get paid a little bit that first year?
The very first year, no. They didn't. We were hoping we would get money from the ticket sales, but we didn't make enough. I had to pay for the theater and stuff like that. And so there wasn't enough left over that very first year. But from then on, after that, I've always paid the dancers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was...
But I told her, I said, we don't have any money. Can you make some costumes for us?
So for years, my budget was, I don't know. I got to come up with some. So when we got to the first Thriller, we had, and it was a really different show. We had a band, and they were all dressed up as zombies, and we had quite a different show.
Yeah.
And then, thrift store zombies. I still do that, but
Yes.
the skeletons. There was bones all over the floor in my basement, all over in the kitchen. They had an ironing board in the studio with the dancers and an iron and fabric. And I had drawn the bones, and they were helping me cut out the bones for the fingers for both sides. That's 60 bones you got to cut out. And so they were helping me cut out the bones, and we were putting them on the gloves. And then
those gloves are still around, aren't they?
they are still there. We have new ones that Crystal made that was so much easier. We're at intermission. And I had some helpers, Joellen Throckmorton and Pam came in, and they did some unitards, and I was doing some alterations for them. Mm-hmm. So the dancers are lined up behind me. I'm in the dressing room, and I'm sewing the alteration, and I'm handing it to them like, I'm on next. That's how scary it was, that first show. And so.
But we pulled it off.
We did. We got through the first show, and then we knew we had something special. I feel really lucky, though. I got to be the first one to watch Frankenstein, mm-hmm. and the little Elizabeth was sitting on my lap, and I laughed so hard because of all the little ballet potado things that and it was lots shorter. And all the little bits have been added over the years. But then, and the same with Jason. So they pulled me up and said, oh, Cheryl, we need somebody. So they go up for the first time, and I sit on there, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, And I got to be the first one to be the audience participation person. So that was really special.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
Since then, Cheryl has become the costumer extraordinaire over the years, and she always says she hates it when I come up with an idea, because I usually give her only like 2 weeks to
do a whole show.
You
guys put together a whole show in 2 weeks. But think how much I have to do. So first time that we were doing, it was maybe the 4th year. It was a 6th year, I think it was. Daryl said, I'm going to start paying you. And so.
Yeah, you have to realize, during those first 5 to 6 years,
we were doing like 3 jobs.
we
4
we
jobs.
didn't pay ourselves. We didn't get paid at
So
all.
Daryl's going teaching at the U at like 7 in the morning,
Yep.
teaching all day at Center Stage, doing the Center Stage company.
Yep.
So I'm doing all those costumes. I'm doing company costumes. I'm doing all the costumes for the whole Center Stage. I'm doing the company, senior company, which he made Veronica do, and the company, and Odyssey. And so I'm doing all 3 and Odyssey. And
Wow.
Anyway,
I really
so
laid it on you, didn't I?
he did, yeah. So he says, okay, keep your hours for Thriller. So I did, and he's like, I said, well, I handed him the paper. It was 450 hours. Now we're only doing 2 weeks of Thriller back then. One was we went down to Cedar City and did Thriller down there that
I
year.
remember when you handed me that, I was like, holy crap.
450 hours.
450 hours. I didn't pay you for 450 hours, did
No,
you?
but I said, well, I told you. I said you should give me a salary or something. It's not going to be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I said, well, you go to bed, but I'm down there in the furnace room sewing.
Yeah.
So my little furnace room is like this big. And I've got 3 machines in there. And so it's spilling out everywhere, all over the basement, you know.
You should see our house from time to time when, like this last week, we've been cleaning all the costumes. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just costumes hanging everywhere.
Luckily it was warm and
All
I
over
put
the
a
house.
rack out on the patio and
Yeah. You know.
in the
It's
garage.
It's really, I mean, when you guys finish your performances, the work continues for us, you
Yeah,
know, in terms of,
yeah.
you know, moving trucks, doing all this other stuff that it takes to get.
Yeah.
We have a couple of stories, though, if it's okay, about backstage goofs that happen. You
Well,
wanna tell-
because as a costumer, the costume boo-boos are the most traumatic
Yes.
and funny, right? And I remember one time we were get together and said, oh, best stories
Yes.
for costume
Yes.
malfunctions.
So there was this one piece we were doing in Let It Be. It was Fool on the Hill. And we had, all the guys had then I was making fun of Osama bin Laden, right?
Can't do that now. But
He was the fool on the hill. But
Yeah.
all the guys had turbans and beards. And the girls were in the, what are the
Burqas.
The burqas. They were in the burqas.
doing the 4 little swans.
Bourang onto stage and stuff.
4 little swans
It was
in their
actually a
complete
very
black.
funny piece. It was very good. But
Can't do it now.
Yeah, we probably can't get away with that now. But
So the guys were in combat boots and camo
yeah,
and,
And big
big long
tutus.
white tutus, and
White
they were the
tutus.
4 ballerinas,
Yes.
Taglioni, and
Yes.
all the 4.
they were like taking
know.
poses and everything.
And Osama had his white one, and the other 4 guys. So Carl is one of the guys.
Yep.
He's like a big teddy bear. He reminds me of Carson a little
Yes,
bit.
yes.
Yeah. And just sweet guy. So I have 2 on him. But he's over on the side and he goes, Cheryl, I forgot my preset. I don't have my wig and my turban. I'm like, he starts running back. I think, stop. There's no time for this. So I'm looking around. There's a black sweater on the prop table. And I grab it and I wrap it around his head and I say, put this in your mouth. And this is the sleeve. And off he goes. He's on.
He goes on stage and I watched and I said, what's wrong with his beard?
I said, how did he look out there? His beard looked a little weird. And all of us are dying. Like, there is literally someone on the floor on the side laughing so hard. And all the 4 burqa girls are just like
They're laughing.
shaking, laughing.
And he's just giggling underneath. He's just going,
Yeah, just. So that was his black turban and his, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And off
That was
he ran.
amazing. That was amazing. The other one happened a couple of years ago with Devin.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you were there. And I
So-
have the video. I'll share it with you.
So Devin we're at the Taylorsville place, and so there's a long hall to go back to the dressing room. So, and he had notoriously been not making all his costume
Yeah,
changes
he was notorious.
to get to the Roxy big number.
Yeah.
And they're in their white jackets with their nice pants.
Yes, and their tuxedo.
Tuxedo with a
It
bow
was a
tie.
tuxedo look and all this stuff.
So I'm helping him, and I'm like, we practice, and he's getting it, and we had everything, and now he's learned. Okay, I've got to underdress. So I've got my circus strongman unitard, one side, gray blue to here, to his just above his knees. Then he's got his shoes with his socks with the little, I didn't even know they still use those. It's the little garter for your socks, to keep your socks up. He's got those on. And then he's got his shirt over it, and he goes, Cheryl, I left my pants. I don't have my pants. And so I'm like, I'll go get them. So and Boston's there too. And she's like running me too. She's faster than me. I'm slow now. So I'm going and I meet her in the hallway. She's got his pants. I get up and I'm right there at the curtain. And I'm like, put him on now. No, I got to go. And off he goes out with his jacket on. And you just see these gray blue bikers and his bare knee and his garter with his socks. But he had his jacket.
He had his shirt on.
He had his
shirt
tuxedo
had the little
on.
gusset, the little thing.
And it had the diaper, the
little
crotch
diaper
piece.
crotch.
I forgot about that. That was
no
even funny.
Pants.
No pants, just those strongman pants on.
So he goes out there and does the whole Roxy number. He's the only one with no pants on the entire number. And I'm out in the audience, and I'm just going, "Oh my gosh, this is."
And I'm just mortified.
Of course, he's the one that she grabs their buns at the very end. So he's there. I mean, his buns are just out there, and so we did that. He did that number,
just mortified.
and people came up to me.
We're so close. He could have gotten that on and still made his lift, because he was like, "I missed the lift."
Because there's a couple of lifts. You need all four guys.
And I have to be there. I have to go. What's funny is my brother and his wife came to that performance, and they know Daryl and the humor. And he goes, he did that on purpose, right? Put that guy out there like that? And I went, no, he did not. And he's like, well, that's even funnier.
That was
classic.
funny that they thought I had done that.
That you tried to pull that off.
Said, okay,
No.
let's have one guy go out without pants. But no, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm still not thinking about doing that in the future.
No.
But there's all kinds of little stories of what happens backstage and just the mayhem that happens sometimes in terms of getting people out there.
And the injuries. I'm the one that has to deal with all that.
Yep.
So I had that. You guys have heard this story probably. But we're in Germany, and I'm sitting there, and I'm crocheting. I always crochet a blanket on the bus tour. And so I hear the voice, and it says, go backstage, someone might get hurt. And so I'm across the hall in the bathroom. There's a little seat there, and I keep crocheting, and I hear it again. Go backstage, someone's going to get hurt. So I start walking out in the hall. Here comes Lydia. And someone had kicked her in the nose, and just bloody nose, just all down her white shirt. We're doing Prince
number, yeah.
So they all have the white ruffle shirts. She's crying, oh, my costume. I said, don't worry about your costume. We got to get your bleeding stopped. It's going to be fine. Look, we're going to take it off. See, it's coming right out of with the water. And she's calming down, and now we can, you can't stop a bloody nose when you're so upset. So we finally get her stopped, and we put see, now it's cooler. It's all still wet, but it's white. And now you can go, and you cooled off. So out she goes. And then here comes, literally, as I'm sending her off, here comes Ergie. Go check on Ryan. He fell during his tap number.
Yeah, Ryan.
He did an amazing tap number. And he fell.
He slipped and fell.
And landed on his hand. And here's his wrist, like over here. So I go over there, and he's standing in the hall with his wrist over here. His hands over here.
His whole wrist was like
just
this.
gone. And he's like, I said, oh, you've broken your wrist. And he goes, yeah, it's, blank happens. And so, so I got him a chair, and he's sitting there, and I'm like, we need some ice now. And they don't have ice in Germany.
They don't have ice in Germany.
I had one of those little quick packs. I stuck that on him, and I know all my first aid. And so
they sent him to the hospital.
He got an operation, and we caught with him a couple days later.
Couple of days
on
later,
the train going somewhere else to Germany.
Yeah, we were traveling. We had a couple other shows we had to do, so we left him basically in Germany, and then he had an operation, got it fixed, and he met us on the train. We had to go stop at the train station to pick him up, because he had been gone for a couple of days, and we picked him up, and he came with us. He didn't do anything else on the tour at that time, but
he was fine.
that was that was just bad. His wrist was like, phew.
It was bad, and he finished the number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He finished the number, and then
and
then it came off. It's like, ooh.
I've dealt with a lot of injuries.
This is not good, is it?
And one of them was our daughter. So we were doing dances we were doing the dance, Richard Paul Emmons' book, and he read the book with the orchestra halfway down.
Yeah.
So you could still see him, but the pit was halfway down at the Capitol Theater. And we had all these little girls in the first part, and they were just darling. And Elizabeth was 4, I think.
Yeah.
And she didn't have her shoes on. I said, go get your shoes on because it's slippery. She was just in her socks. So they turned at the end of the rehearsal, they turned off the lights. It's black. There's no glow tape. There's no nothing. They turned off the lights as the kids are still not off the stage, and she goes running off and falls into the pit. So she's unconscious. She's laying there, and her arms like this. And Daryl's going over to pick her up. I said, don't pick her up. Don't touch her. We don't know how she fell. She could have broken her neck or something. So he steps back, and then she starts having a seizure, convulsing. And so the paramedics come. She's coming out of the seizure, and they start talking to her. What day of the week is this? She's 4 years old. Ask what color your shirt is, or, I'm like, I looked at her, and she'd broken her arm before. I said, I know she's broken her arm. I knew that's what it was, because she was scared. These strange men are asking her what day of the week it is. I said, she's okay. Well, obviously she has a concussion, and at least, So anyway, they got her stable, got her on the ambulance. I went with her. That was a show I missed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why do you not have glow tape or something? Don't turn the lights off with a whole group of people out there till they get off stage.
Yeah.
And of course the police were involved because they were worried. But I said, I'm not gonna sue or anything, but you need to be more aware of when you turn the lights off, because dancers it's black.
Well, needless to say,
anyway, that was
our lives have been an odyssey. And we've been working together for years, and it's kind of like we kind of read each other's minds, or at least, well,
we think a lot alike.
We think a lot
but I'll
alike,
have crazy ideas too.
Yes, I mean she's.
So we're at Tuacahn, and we're doing the pirate number, and we've got the 2 ships that year. It was the most fun number ever, and for the finale of Thriller. And so I said, well, let's do Captain Hook versus, because they'd just done Peter Pan.
They'd done Peter Pan,
So they had the Captain Hook stuff, and against the Pearl. We'll make the ship into the Pearl.
Jack Sparrow.
And Jack Sparrow. So then they're like, oh, we're going to fly him in. And we're having all these ideas. And then I'm like,
it was amazing.
This always happens.
We had a ship come on stage, had cannons, shooting cannons, then another ship across the back 40 that came out, cannon shot at it. It fell apart, and then we did. It was.
So then they were going to
spectacular
fly
wonder.
Captain Hook in to do the big sword fight. It was amazing. Everybody on stage having this big sword fight dance. Really cool. Girls, guys, everybody. And they're like, oh, well, we can't do the fly thing. I said, well, I know what this means, but we just have a double. So we have a double, another guy that's Captain Hook, down here, ready to go. But that means I have to make another coat. And they had a coat from their show, and I had my Crystal Denton. She was my helper, and she made a coat. Took them 2 weeks to make it at Tucson. She made a coat in 5 hours, exactly like the one they had there. That's how fast she was.
Yeah.
She moved to Texas, but she was really fast. So then we did that's how we did it. But that happens all the time because
way away.
I
on
know
that,
what
on that ship
I
up
have to
there,
do
you
to make
can't
it
really
work.
tell who it is.
yeah.
So he just disappeared, and then he came up over here.
So I all the time come up with, well, this is going to be hard for me, but it'll make it work.
She's made a 7-foot hammer for Maxwell Silver hammer.
In
I
my
mean,
living room with a turkey carving knife, electric knife.
Pig costumes. I mean, you name it, she's
Stuff
made
that blows up on stage.
You know.
Those were at the beginning too, and I was like, and it was just praying all night. Okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I make the pigs?
Yeah.
How do I make pigs? Giant
We'd
pigs.
have Veronica standing in the middle of the living room like
2
this
hours.
for 2
First one was
hours
2
while
hours.
she's like
Wrapping
creating
them up.
stuffing and stuff like that to
And they
make the
took
pig
turns, and then it
costumes.
was Andrew. Andrew stood there for the guys, and then it was 6 of them.
It was always a family affair.
Yeah, every holiday, our kids were helping us wrap things up, move things into trucks, load up the giant Egyptian head,
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
been
Lot of
lots
crazy.
and lots of things.
and a
crazy
lot of
things.
ideas from our kids, and the whole family too. Oh, I've got this idea for a thriller. Some are good and some are not.
Some are not so good,
But yeah,
but I mean, it's been a really an amazing time working with you, and it never ceases to amaze me how you can make something out of nothing and how you figure it out, and
well, I'm lucky that I helped my dad a lot with woodworking and I had to make a wood part in that hammer, but then make it so it didn't kill somebody when they're getting hit in the head with it.
Yeah, it was just, she's made all kinds of things besides costumes, big props. She's done a wonderful job all these years, and it's been a wonderful Odyssey with you.
Thank you. You too.
She was an amazingly talented dancer that was my favorite partner all those years, and
Ditto.
became an amazing partner in this crazy thing we call dance and Odyssey Dance Theater, where we just do a show. We do shows and we put them together,
Yeah.
We are the ultimate mom and pop operation.
Yeah.
And so,
But I've gotten better, and I've learned a lot. And
but I can always turn to her to say, "What do you think of this?"
he has crazy ideas.
I have crazy ideas, and
Crazy.
they come at the weirdest hours, But she's my partner.
Yep, we're partners.
So with that, we will close with this edition of Odyssey Unscripted.
That's for sure.
So,
We didn't
see
know what it was
ya.
going to be. All right.
Wouldn't
take
wanna
care.
be ya.
Thank you. Bye.